Today's Edison deck profile, Blackwings. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And today we have a Edison format Blackwing deck profile. That is a mouthful, but it's one of the the higher end decks of the format. Typically, you will see a Blackwing deck topping any kind of Edison event that's happening. So this is, I guess, say one of the versions of the deck, because there are definitely multiple out there. You know, different ratios for different Blackwing monsters. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alright guys, so starting off, we're going to have 3 copies of Shura, the Blue Flame, followed by 3 copies of the devastating Blackwing Kalute, the Moon Shadow, followed by 3 copies of Sirocco, the Dawn, followed by 3 copies of Blizzard, the Far North. So those are the ones that you're going to be running 3 copies of. Typically, I mean, with Blackwing, it's kind of up to you in terms of ratio, how you want to do things. I've seen some builds where you play less Sirocco. I've seen some where you play, up to 3, much like in this one. Moving on, we have our 2 copies of Bora the Spear, followed by our 1 copy of Vayu, the Emblem of Honor. Personally, for me, I've been thinking about cutting Vayu. I don't know, I've seen some builds without him, and playing him, I just don't feel I get too much out of him. So I'm not too sure. You guys comment down below and let me know what you guys think about Vayu, because I'm really on the fence with him. And of course, we have our 1 copy of Gale the Whirlwind, one of the best Blackwings, and really just overall one of the best monsters in Edison format. Following up, we have 1 copy of Dark Arm Dragon. Everything's dark in this deck, so you might as well play Dad. I mean, he's solid spout removal, as well as a 2800 body. Pretty good. And then we have, which some people, they just keep in their side, but I prefer it in my main. I got 2 copies of Cyber Dragon. Especially if you have, say, a Sirocco in your hand, and, it's kind of like the same deal, I guess. Or I guess if you don't have Sirocco, but you got Cyber Dragon, at least you can get a body on the field. And ideally, synchro off. So, you got that option. So I guess like a not feathered Sirocco. Going into our spells, we have Black Whirlwind, 2 copies. Then we have Dark Eruption. Very good. You get to target 1 dark monster with 1500 less attack in your graveyard. Add it to your hand, so very good to recycle monsters. Followed by 1 copy of Allure of Darkness, considering all of our monsters are dark. So, yeah, might as well have it in there for a little bit of draw power. And us having 3 copies of a lot of our monsters, we have a little more versatility in terms of banishing from our hand. Then we have 2 copies of Book of Moon. Then, of course, we have a Brain Control, followed by a Heavy Storm, and then a Mystical Space Typhoon, just to help get rid of those back row problems our opponent's going to be having. Now, this build is a little more trap heavy, so that's also why we aren't running Gores. Same thing with Black Whirlwind. It kind of, fights against Gores being in our hand. So we're going to be running 3 copies of Icarus Attack, followed by 3 copies of Dimensional Prism, followed by 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole, followed by 1 copy of Dust Tornado, 1 copy of Mirror Force, a copy of Trap Dust Shoot. Considering Trap Dust Shoot pretty much wins you games. It gives you that solid knowledge of what's in your opponent's hand, especially if you open with Trap Dust Shoot. It gives you all the advantage in the world. Then, of course, we got our 1 copy of Solemn Judgment, because just saying no to our opponent It's pretty good. Kind of gives us a little bit of an advantage at the cost of our life points. So moving on to the extra deck, we have our 2 copies of Blackwing Armor Master, one of the better cards in Edison format. Then we have our 2 copies of Blackwing Armed Wing, followed by our 1 copy of Blackwing Silverwind, the Ascendant. After that, we have pretty much our generic Edison extra deck monsters. So we're going to be having 1 copy of Stardust, 1 copy of Red Dragon Archfiend. We have our 1 copy of Black Rose Dragon to help clear out the field a little bit quicker. We have our 1 copy of Colossal Fighter, our 1 copy of Dark End Dragon, since we have an overload of dark monsters in our deck. Then, of course, we have our Ally of Justice Cataster, our Yugioh Guardian, our Brio Dragon of the Ice Barrier, our Magical Android, and then since we do have 2 copies of Cyber Dragon in our main, we also have a Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, just to help clear out anything if we're going against any other machine decks. Or who knows, even if our opponent gets out a Cyber Dragon against us, we can help clear it out a little bit quicker. So there you guys have it. A little bit of a quicker deck profile today. With Blackwings, like I said, there's a few different ways you can play it. You know, I've seen Value Turbo. I've seen ones where you don't have value at all, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards after playing it quite a bit the past few days. I'm kind of about it. Because I don't really synchro from the graveyard. Not only that, I don't want my monsters to have their effects negated when they're synchro summoned. So I don't know, you guys let me know down below. What do you guys think of this build versus other builds? Would you like this one, or would you prefer a little bit more of that Value Turbo? Some people do like that a little bit more. And hey, to each their own. That's the nice thing about Edison format. But if you guys do like the deck profiles, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because they're always coming every single week. And of course, be sure to check out those links down below. Check out rpkgaming.com. And of course, be sure to use that TCG player link down below as well too, as it helps out the channel more than you know. We'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye, and good night.